29th and 30th part of the 30th Juz, and we started with Surah Al-Qiyamah, and all these surahs are, most of these surahs in the Last Juz, they are dealing with the Aqidah of Akhirah, about the Day of Judgment and the conditions of the Day of Judgment and the details of the Jannah and the Jahannam. And as a matter of fact, 1/3 of the Qur'an talks about the Aqidah al-Akhirah, the Day of Judgment and the life after death. And this is a very important Aqidah in Islam, and the Qur'an has emphasized on it. And basically tonight, almost all the surahs that we recited are all about the Day of Judgment. Surah Al-Qiyamah, Surah Dahar, Al-Mursalat, Al-Naba, Al-Nazi'at, Abas, Takwir, Inshiqaq. All these surahs are talking about when the Day of Judgment will occur. And this is one of the important topic of the last surahs, because all these are Makki surahs. And in the Mecca, the topic or the subject of the Quran was only three: Tawheed, Risala and Akhirah. And these are the surahs about the Akhirah. Now if we look at all these surahs, Surah Qiyamah to all the way, we finished Surah Naba, the next surah in Nazi'at and Abas. The khulasa, or the bottom line of all these surahs, is there in 4 ayat of Surah An-Nazi'at, and which is the ayat number 37 to 41. And this is, if we understand these 4 ayat, we understand the whole, the khulasa or the summary of all these surahs. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions some basic principles and rules with respect to the akhirah. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَأَمَّا مَنْ طَغَى وَآثَرَ الْحَيَاةَ الدُّنْيَا, that two conditions, that if a person has crossed the borders, limits of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that's what is the meaning of tagha. And number 2, وَآثَرَ الْحَيَاةَ الدُّنْيَا, and he preferred this dunya, this life, over the akhirah. If these two conditions are met, then what is the result? فَإِنَّ الْجَحِيمَ هِيَ الْمَأْوَى, then his final destiny is going to be the hellfire. So that means that when there are limits set by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is between halal and the haram, up to this is halal, beyond that is haram. So if a person goes beyond, he is doing tagha, he is crossing the limit, transgressing. And why? Because he's preferring this dunya, the comfort, the luxuries, some good tastes of this dunya over the akhirah. And as a result of that, فَإِنَّ الْجَحِيمَ هِيَ الْمَأْوَى, they are going to be in the hellfire. On the other hand, there are two conditions. If a person says, وَأَمَّا مَنْ خَافَ مَقَامَ رَبِّهِ, if a person realizes and is scared and has a khawf that tomorrow he will be standing in front of Allah, his maqam, his place that will be in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, وَنَهَا النَّفْسَ عَنِ الْهَوَى, and he hold himself, his nafs, his desires, from falling into the haram, from following the desires which are forbidden. If he can hold himself only these two things, that he remembers, always realize tomorrow he will be standing in front of Allah, and then holds himself or herself, what will be the result? فَإِنَّ الْجَنَّةَ هِيَ الْمَأْوَى, then that person will be having his place in the Jannah. This is the bottom line, and this is the khulasa that has been mentioned. And just a couple of more ayat from Surah Al-Abas, and this is also related with these ayat, that what's going to happen over there. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if we look at Surah Al-Abas, ayat number 33 to the following 3-4 ayat. فَإِذَا جَاءَتِ الصَّاخَّةُ, Sakha is that sound of the horn, of the sur that will be blown. And this will be so strong, it will kill everybody. And then on the day of judgment, when everybody will be resurrected, what will happen? يَوْمَ يَفِرُّ الْمَرْءُ مِنْ أَخِيهِ. The person will be running away, will be hiding from who? From his brother. وَأُمِّهِ, and from his mother. وَأَبِيهِ, and from his father. وَصَاحِبَتِهِ, and from his wife. وَبَنِيهِ, and from his children. It will not be there to help them. Over here in this dunya, he is ready to give his life for his parents, for his children, for his brothers, for his sisters. Over there, he will not even be looking at them, because everybody will be scared of themselves. No, not today. In the other ayat, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says he will ask one hasana and nobody will give him from his relatives. And Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, as narrated, Ibn Abbas radiallahu ta'ala anhu narrates that on that day, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam will be running from his mother. Ibrahim alayhi salam will be running from his father. Nuh alayhi salam will be running from his son. Lut alayhi salam will be running from his wife. Because they will not be, when Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam warned his daughter Fatima, take care of your affairs. On the day of judgment, your father will not be able to help you. So that was the warning that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And things will be so hard, so difficult, that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam one time was describing the day of judgment, and Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha was there listening, and he said, يُحْشَرُ النَّاسُ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ حُفَاةً عُرَاةً غُرُورًا, that on the day of judgment, everybody, all the men and women, they will be barefooted and they will be naked and they will be غَيْر مَخْتُونَ, uncircumcised. And Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha said, Ya Rasulullah, men and women all together naked, they will not be feeling shame at each other. And Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, Ya Aisha, al-amru ashaddu min an yanzura ba'duhum ila ba'd. That the hardship, the difficulty, the horror will be so much that nobody will care. Nobody even will look at the next person, in what condition that person is. And that is how that the situation will be so hard. And subhanallah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala really, if we go into more details of these surahs, there are more situations that tell us that the Qur'an al-Kareem talks about the realities of the life hereafter. And that is the time, my respected brothers, to prepare for it. And the principle is that وَأَمَّا مَنْ خَافَ مَقَامَ رَبِّهِ وَنَهَى النَّفْسَ عَنِ الْهَوَى. Only two things. I always remember, I'm going to stand up over there and I hold myself from the desires. Just because of a few days luxury or a few days enjoyment, I don't make a bad deal that I buy the Jahannam and the hardship for myself. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help all of us inshallah and guide us inshallah.